Great. Well, hello and welcome to another live stream of our demo night behind the scenes. I am live here with Stuart Noakes, co-founder of Canopy Community, and Rob Cossins, who is the co-founder of Scribe, who pitched at demo night on Wednesday evening this week and was voted the People's Choice, the most popular pitch of the evening. And there was some strong competition. My name is Sam Steele, and I'm an entrepreneur in residence at City Ventures, which is part of City St George's University of London. So we're just going to spend the next 10 minutes just having a chat with Rob and Stuart about demo night, and also to find out a little bit more about Scribe, the People's Choice. So welcome to you both.
Great to be here.
Nice to see you. And well done, Rob. Celebrating
Thank you very much.
man. Congratulations.
Yes. It was a fantastic event. Great fun.
It was the first time you've been to a demo night, Rob?
It's the second time, actually. The first time I went, I think it was in Finsbury Square or Finsbury Circus, the Bays campus. That was great. And Stuart bent my arm and said, "Why don't you come down and present to our community?" And I really liked it. It was a kind of nice mix of people. You have founders there, a few investors, few ecosystem people, students as well. And yeah, I think what the Canopy community and City Ventures have created is really cool.
So tell us a little bit about your business, about Scribe. When did you start it? What do you do?
Yeah, of course. So my background is finance. I spent 7 years working for a big bank, and effectively wanted to automate my old job, which was analyzing companies. And I left the industry, was looking around for a co-founder and started working. So we started the business about 4.5 years ago now. So my co-founder is an AI academic. And so we're deploying a lot of that technology to analyzing businesses. And so that's what we do. We do automated insight on private companies. We have a few different kind of clients. So we work with asset managers, we work with lenders, banks. But the offering that I presented at the evening was that we also help founders to find angel investors using that data. So yeah, we've worked with, I think, over 400 organizations now since launching, work with lots of people and having lots of fun with it. So that's what we do.
Brilliant. Well done. Where are you, would you say, on your startup journey? Are you self-funding? Are you bootstrapping? Have you got investors?
Yeah, so we've raised 2 funding rounds to date. So we have 2 kind of well-known investors on our cap table, so Antler and Fuel Ventures, plus a series of kind of relevant angel investors. So yeah, we've raised, and yeah, now we obviously now generate revenue. We're sort of scaling up as a business, getting our name out there in the market, and really kind of scaling things now. So we've got a team of about 10 at the moment, and looking to grow that to kind of 15, 20 by the end of this year, something like that.
Oh, and when did you set up, did you say? 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
4 years ago, 4.5 years ago-ish.
Yeah, so that sounds like
we're on a journey.
Good, solid journey, yes. Stuart, how did you become aware of Rob? How did your paths meet?
Yeah, so one of the tracks that we have in Canopy is a sort of fast track for fundraising. And in that, there's a live coaching call every week where the founders who are raising funds are talking to each other about how they're doing stuff and what they're going through with due diligence, and asking each other questions about stuff and exchanging templates and all that kind of stuff together. I sit on most of those, and on one of those, one of the founders came in with, "I found this thing, Scribe. Has anybody heard of it?" And so we all took a look at it. He started reviewing to try and find angels through it. We then took out a Canopy subscription to have a look and see if we could do stuff for ourselves, and whether or not we could help other founders. As a result, I can't remember, I think there was some sort of trigger, and I ended up talking to Rob off the back of that. And we just began a dialogue from there. But yeah, it was sourced from the community. It was something I wasn't aware of before. I won't say the name of the person, but he knows who he was, who brought it into the call.
So you're actually a user of the service?
Yeah, we used it for a little bit, did a bit of searching in it, and tried to work out how we could leverage it. I think we've stopped the subscription now, but we'll probably come back to it. And I think that's what some people do in terms of you don't fundraise necessarily all the time, particularly with angels. You might have a bit of a sprint through it and get your pre-seed in or your seed in, whereas Canopy is always on raising money with people. So one of our companies is just one of the member companies, sorry, is just closed in on 235k with Hatch. This week, the money landed into their bank account. They got 250k and 85k institutional through that. But they're one of 28 companies at the moment that are raising at that level. So we're always on, basically. It's never stopping. And probably would see 6 to 10 raises a year successfully complete within that membership.
Great. So, Rob, do you use the services of Canopy? I mean, have you connected in with the Canopy community as a startup or a growing company now?
Yeah, we've not just yet. I mean, I'm very I
Rob's
heard
more
it.
of a social member, aren't you, Rob? You just
Yeah,
turn up
well,
to the
it
events
seems
and
like
hang
it.
out,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like I probably should join now. No, I think I mean in particular what the work of the community has been doing outside of London as well. I think because if I remember correctly, Stuart, you're based sort of outside of London, sort of southwest, and I think there's a ton of innovation going on outside of London that these kind of communities reach that the London ecosystem doesn't quite touch, and so I think for founders, there's a big disconnect between the quality of the support maybe in London versus the rest of the UK, and I think this is where communities like Canopy come in. They're really handy because they're like a gold standard of support. So yeah, it sounds like I should join the community, and I'm sure I know plenty of people in the community. We speak to founders all the time, so I'm sure that I probably know a few people in that.
So,
Well, at
I
the
mean,
moment we were doing this. Sorry, Sam. We were doing the stats this morning, so it's kind of top of mind. We have 352 founders in the community at the moment actively building, and of those, the ones I mentioned about the fundraising track. But we've got 70 of those are in as a proactive virtual incubation program. We've got 88 female founders in a special track on there as well, and we've got 120 investors orbiting the people that are coming through to see what they want to fundraise on. But of course, we've got members in because we're a virtual incubator and stuff. We've got people in Bangalore, we've got people in Australia, we've got people in the UK, we've got lots of people in Portugal, we've got people in the US. And when they go on a coaching call together, and it was a great example this week actually. You've got some Portuguese and you've got some expats who are living in Portugal, and you've got some people who are in the UK, and they were teaching each other stuff because it's the same problems just in a different place, and they're possibly addressing a global market anyway, and they don't have to keep relearning it. It's not like, oh, I'm in Porto, so I don't really have the support. It's like, no, you've all got the same support. You've all got the same 14 mentors and in resident team that you can come to. You've got the same partnerships. It's not localized at all.
That's great. Rob, this idea of needing a network of support when you start up, did you have that when you set your company up? What support did you get, and from where?
Yeah, so I we initially came through. It's where I met my co-founder on an accelerator called Antler, and that was extremely valuable because it was a sort of community of 60, 70 odd people who all had experience working in startups. So I think as a founder, it's really important to know what you don't know as much as what you do know, because usually you're probably good at about 10% of what you need to be good at to build a company that's going to be somewhat successful. So you have your 10% that's and then that 90% you've got to learn really quickly. And I think that's where these communities come into play. I think speaking to other founders regularly is something that is really important to do. Obviously, you don't want to spend all week doing it. You need to focus on the business too. But I think some, these evening events, mixers, things like this are really important. I mean, we've built, I wouldn't call it a community, but we host events as well where we bring down and we make them founder only. So we're very strict on that criteria. It's part of like I suppose, our kind of ethos of like creating an environment where founders can really empathize with one another and talk to one another. I think that seems to work quite nicely. But again, there are sort of all sorts of ways of solving this problem. But any community is very good thing.
Well, where did you connect with these founders? When you say you create founder-only evenings, if there are founders watching this and they don't have those connections and networks, how do they get connected?
Yeah, I think there are, email newsletters, a few come to mind, like, Rare Founders, C Legals, people like this, obviously Canopy as well, will host events and they'll direct you towards other events. I think, turning up, speaking to people, getting connected, and over time, your network grows and grows, and then they become a really powerful resource for, you know, client introductions, investor introductions. Yeah, the power of a network is yeah, it's really, really important. So when we were starting out, I mean, it takes time. I mean, you know, it takes it takes time to find communities. Yeah. So I
But
guess
you
part
have
of this podcast is to get the message out there and, you know, get more people aware of what you guys are doing.
well, yeah, but also to give them advice, to hear from, you know, from your lips what it's actually like to be a founder and to be a startup. So what you're saying is, as well as focusing on your company, you need to go out and join in and actively look for events that you can go to.
Absolutely. And one other thing that I've done a lot of is find founders that are building in very similar space. So, you know, I've been sort of running is a grandiose term for just bringing together 5 or 6, you know, fintechs that are all selling into certain types of institutions. And the value of that is very, very good. So let's say I'm a snack brand, you know, there's huge value from me inviting 5 other founders that are building snack brands and getting them in the pub or the restaurant or coffee or whatever it is. Extremely valuable. So I definitely recommend any founder do that.
And
Sometimes
do
that phrase
you,
competition comes up, doesn't it? At times like that,
yeah.
you got to be careful with the conflicts, but actually you're all doing similar things in similar ways, and you're much. Well, sometimes say entrepreneurship's a team sport, right? You're stronger together by actually not keep all learning the same lesson. It's like learn it once and share it, and all survive,
Yeah,
all thrive, right?
and you're also all very, very small businesses, really,
Mm.
compared to, like, if you're a drinks brand, like the idea that the 2 drinks brands are competing against, you know, I think the marketing budget of Coca-Cola in the UK is probably in the hundreds of millions. You know, you're not going to outspend them as a small brand. So yeah, yeah. Usually it's okay to sort of sit down with even if you overlap a little bit. Yeah.
Great. So networking is a tip. Do you have any other top tips for founders that you can share?
Top tips for founders. So I was on a call this morning sharing with a group of founders, and they asked me kind of 3 top tips to share with how to attract angel investors, and I actually have them written down, so I might as well use them because nothing else comes to the top of mind. So firstly, if you're thinking about fundraising, I think kind of understand why you're fundraising, whether you need to fundraise in the first place. That's important on the topic of raising money, um, and understand what kind of investors, what kind of people you want to have. The second tip I shared there was to really sweat your network. You know, ask other founders for introductions, use data, LinkedIn events. You know, broaden your world. I think as a founder is always a good thing to do. And thirdly, and again, this tip is a little bit fundraising specific, but I think it's still really important. But I would say to talk yourself into fundraising or success, not out of it. So, you know, if you present conviction to the market, either from sales or fundraising, I think like the commitments will follow. Like I come across a lot of founders that will say, "Oh, it's a bad market. Investors don't get us. Clients don't get us." Like, it's I know it's very, very tempting for founders to kind of blame an external environment for something, but the reality is building a company is always extremely difficult. And so having an awareness that, like, to an extent, that is all in your control, is really, really important. So yeah, those 3 tips, I know I've shared quite a bit here, but yeah, understand why you're fundraising, sweat your network, and talk yourself into fundraising or success.
I've
Brilliant. I
got to
think there's
say, actually, sorry, Sam, I'm doing bad at talking across you today, but
no, that's fine. Jump
something
in.
you said on Wednesday landed with me as well, Rob. I think you were just talking to somebody next to me and stuff, and you said never underestimate the power of just getting out and talking about what you do. You know, being in a room with other people and saying, "This is what I'm working on." You know, just being out here, and suddenly you start people thinking about you, right? And you start creating that message. Is great.
Absolutely, and I think on that point, as a founder, you want everything to be really perfect when you finally launch or announce, but the reality is no one really cares what you're doing, so you need to take every opportunity to talk about what you're doing and share with clients, investors, partners, whatever. And I think that's something that we could probably move the needle, certainly in the UK, on how we talk about our own companies.
I think that's great advice, Rob. Thank you very much for that. Stuart, when is the next demo night? If anybody is inspired by listening to Rob and wants to come and have the opportunity to mingle and mix and meet people, it's a free event. When's it happening, Stuart?
The next one is Wednesday, the 12th of March, and we do have a problem in that we are a little worried that we don't have a big enough venue, because this month saw another climb again in the attendance and also another climb in the desire. So we've been experimenting with Luma, and that seems to be a great tool for just people discovering us, but it's also got a much higher turnout rate. So it's about 50% turnout rate from sign up to actually attending on Luma versus Eventbrite, which is normally about 20 to 30%. So really interested in that as a dynamic. So we're going to go and get a bigger room, and that was the primary feedback that we were given. So, and April's bigger again. So we have the first time we're going to be in a 200-person auditorium at Bayes in April. So
As
always
part
second
of,
Wednesday.
yeah, it's as part of Bayes Innovate, which will be a whole afternoon of really interesting activities for startups. And people who are just interested in startup, even if you've got a small itch in the back of your mind, you're not quite ready to scratch yet, you can come along and just see what it's like in that world. It's very energetic, I would say. Well done, Rob, for your pitch on Wednesday night. You were really engaging. You completely charmed the room, and I wish you all the very best with your company. I think it's a great idea. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me on this. It's nice to share.
Thanks very much. See you next time.